Now, I've got a fun topic for you today. I want to talk about furs. Now, I've had several people ask me where I get my pelts. They probably see the corkboard behind me with all those tails and just miscellaneous pieces of fur, and honestly, I get a lot of that from roadkill, but what you don't see is I've probably got 10 or 12 of these smaller totes with all kinds of various furs. I mean, rabbits, raccoon, beaver, otter, possum, skunk, you name it, all kinds of furs in them. So where do I get most of these furs? Well, for the last several years, I've gotten them from a furrier in Greenville, Maine called Glacier Wear. They're not an old company. They've been around for just over 30 years, but they've got some amazing pieces at really good prices. I'm talking rabbit hides for about $5. They're even on sale right now, or possum furs for 10 or 12 bucks. The raccoon pelts are usually anywhere from $15 to $25, depending on what grade you want. But remember, we don't need real high quality pelts. We're not making fur coats. We're tying bugs to go fishing with. So that's all well and good, and a fly tyer can get some really good pieces from these folks. But one of the coolest things they offer, and where you can get a real bargain, is a pack of their assorted trimmings and scraps. They sell a pound of these scraps for about $15. Do you know how much a pound of this scrap is? Well, it's really a lot. I think I filled up 3 totes with it. Of course, the challenge is you don't know what you're going to get. You might get bobcat, coyote, raccoon, beaver, ermine, chinchilla. I think this is a piece of chinchilla right here. I have no idea what this piece is. I really can't tell. It's got some interesting underfur, but the long guard hairs are almost white and kind of translucent. It looks like polar bear. So you have no idea what you're going to get. And even after you look at it, you still might not be able to tell what it is. But if you make a lot of your own dubbing or tie a lot of hair wing streamers, check them out. You can have a lot of fun playing around with these random furs. So today's pattern, it's not completely random. I've tied it before. I make it out of this possum pelt. And call it a micro streamer if you want. I usually tie it on size 8s and 10s, but there's nothing that says you couldn't make it bigger. And this pattern did take a little bit of experimenting. The first ones I tied didn't sink at all. I had to make the wing a little bit sparser and then add some weight to it, probably because the possum underfur is pretty dense stuff. But I did want to keep a lot of that underfur because that's what gave the fly some meat. Now, this has never been my go-to streamer. It may not even be in the top 10, but I have had a little bit of luck with it, and it's definitely a fun one to tie. So there it is in the vise, what I used to just call my triple P, which was either pink and purple possum. But as you can tell, I don't always tie it in purple or pink. This one's a green one. So I really don't know what I should be calling this thing. And you could consider it a micro streamer if you want. I'm using some new hooks. I usually tie it on 8s and 10s. That's a 3 extra long, 1 extra heavy, but I'm going with these new hooks. These are from Blue Wing Olive Fly Shop. Streamer competition hooks. I kind of like them so far. Doesn't necessarily look like a 3 extra long, but maybe it's because of that unique flat bend there. And when I tie these possum hair streamers, I usually do weight it. If you don't, the first few casts, you'll find this thing will just land right on top of the water and won't sink. So I put, you know, at least the middle half of the fly weighted here. And I'm stepping up my thread to a 140 denier. That one you saw in the vise a second ago was a 70 denier, and it just took me way too many wraps to finish the head. So this is a 140. Go ahead and take her back to the start of the bend. And for the tail, I make it pretty long, and I just cut, you know, it's actually some of the shorter hairs from the closer to the head of this possum pelt, but it's still pretty long for a tail. You see that? And I'll use this to, you know, smooth out the area behind that weight. Might still have to trim some of it though. Okay, that's a nice long tail right there, and don't worry if you have some scruff. We've got a big fuzzy body. So this is a piece of holographic cactus chenille. Any cactus chenille I think would look pretty cool on this. Okay, now take your thread back up, a couple eye lengths back, and just go ahead and wrap this up. Now you might want to take that chenille a little farther than you would a normal body because we're going to have to tie the wing on top of it, or else it'll be sticking too far up. Now for the wing, just take, sorry you had to look at my nasty fingernail there, that was a cooking accident, but just take a big long tuft from somewhere in the possum's back. And see how I'm kind of catching that in on top of the chenille. If I caught it in front of it, it would end up sticking way too high up. So we're laying it down on the chenille here, trying to keep it on top of the fly, and I think we're fine right there. Now I'm going to do a few wraps just to get a head start on smoothing this out before we put our topping on. And I just used 2 or 3 strands of peacock herl. Let's catch this in on the right here on top of this. You know, I'm trying to do a pinch wrap here, but I'm hanging up on the calluses on my fingers. Okay, that's going to be fine right there. Now just spin as many wraps as you need to clean up this head. And don't be afraid to have a big head. You probably will end up with a big head with all this material up under it. Now one thing you can do before trimming those peacock herl, if you want, just lift them up and then take your scissors or bodkin and then, you know, gently pinch it and then pull it up and you'll get that curve. And now you can, you know, trim them to size and you get a little bit of that natural bend right there. It might not stay, and you know, if you fish this thing a long time, it will probably straighten back out, but it does look pretty cool to begin with. So that's it. Take a look, see if you got any cleanup. I think we're fine. I got a couple of hairs right here on the bottom, but you know, I'm not gonna necessarily worry about those. I'm just gonna put some head cement on it and call it done. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.